Okay. So, in let's hop around over here because to stop a few minutes early. Okay, hold on. Let me get straight. Okay, shkach. Okay, so Moshe, Rusa could sit right here. Okay. Okay, so we handle this. We decided we're going to try Sugya of Yichud, and we introduced last week that there's a couple levels in this Yichud. This is Avram Lezer. You want to turn the things behind you, the controls there. So the Isser Yichud, we said that there's three levels. The Isser Deraisa of Yichud is one man with one woman, and she's an erva to you. What is an erva? An erva is either any relative, except for a mother, maybe a sister in certain cases, grandmother, but any other erva, sister-in-law, aunt, whatever, is Isser Yichud Deraisa, or a Nida, which nowadays every Pnuya basically is an Isser Nida. So the Isser Yichud of one with one is Deraisa. The Isser of Yichud on a Pnuya, which would be anyone that's not an erva, so that is Dirabanan, when it's one-on-one. Also, any Arayas, if it's one man with two women, even though the Mishnah says that it's that it's Aser, but that would only be Midirabanan. And then we said with a guy, is a third level. That was a takana later in the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. That was a takana that came in even after David HaMelech. So David HaMelech was mechadish, the middle level. Now, what's the difference if we said it's deraisa derabanan? So we said it could be that a man, lamashal, how much are you choishish for certain things? So a person, let's say that medically is not capable of bia, so it could be we said we can make on these things. Or different examples where we said that there's other shilas. For example, we said that there's going to be a shaila, which I want to talk about more this week, is one man with three women. So one man with two women is a mishnah. That's aser. So a person is and we'll see this case that we're talking about, but a person's in his office at night and there's two secretaries there. So, or in the evening, let's say, forget night, but just whatever it is, when there's no one else around. So even though there's two people there, it's still aser. So one man with two women is a Mishnah, which is on page 1 of the booklet. Lo yisachid adam im shtei nashim. So you don't need to know much to figure that out. It's right there. A man is also to do yichud with two nashim. The problem is, what about three? It doesn't say. Is there a difference between 2 and 3? So why is it that one man with two women is aser? So, and why would there be a difference between 1 and 3? So, basically, Rashi shita is that 3 is mutter, and essentially because the idea is that he can convince one to be quiet, but once it's already 3, maybe it's already considered public, so he can't convince the other one to stop, and he's not going to be able to convince the other one to be quiet. So therefore, there's already more of a shmira. So the steer to this Mishnah on page 1 is the Mishnah on page 3. Because you go to page 3, so there's another Mishnah there. It says, Kol she'asakav im hanashim, lo yisyachid im hanashim. Somebody that has asik with women. So let's give a few examples. Who's somebody that has asik with women? Someone that has asik with women is, let's say, someone that owns a jewelry store.
Therapist.
What?
Therapist.
Well, therapists. Let me start with that. But the place can say it has to be someone that not only also deals with women, it's that primarily his business is with women. So you could say anybody deals with men and women, right? A person owns a store, so sometimes men come shopping, sometimes women come shopping, right?
Lady store.
But it has to be something that it's particularly for women. So he's iskoy im hanashim. So someone that's iskoy im hanashim, unbelievable idea in the poskim. Someone that's iskoyim anashim, the poskim say, it's not just that we're concerned that he has a good relationship with these women, and therefore, maybe he's more comfortable with them and we're more choishish that something will happen. It's that he's more comfortable with women in general, and therefore with any woman we're concerned that something may happen. So if this man, according to Rashi, lost his heter of 3 women. And as normally, one man is also with 2, like the Mishnah before. But one man with 3 is mutter. But if this guy's an iskay im hanashim, then it's also even with 3. Okay? Rabbi Yashiv says, a man that doesn't create gedarim, let's put it like that, with the relationship with his secretary, would be considered iskoyim anoshim, and it would be aser to do yichud even with 3 people, with 3 anoshim. I didn't. I said that on purpose. I don't know what it means. Okay, but I didn't want to be too machmer. So, in other words, if a person. Right. In other words, if a person doesn't just because he has a secretary doesn't mean it's iskoy manoshim. It could be very business-like, and it's not really. There's a strong formality there. So therefore, maybe that's different. But if a person is hamish over there, and so then it would be aser, and then it could be that if he's the only man in the office and there's multiple women in the office, even 3, 4, it would be aser.
There's no limit.
What?
10.
On this in Indian, there's no limit. What?
So it could be a Beisach mention. I mean, it sounds like Shtegel Manda though, with the Lufiani Astaiti, earlier as we said, because the Isko Manasha means that he's comfortable dealing with women in general. The fact that he is very close with his secretary doesn't mean that he's comfortable in general with women. He's comfortable with a specific woman.
I mean, Baal Misrad. Hama'asik pikidois b'misradoi v'noitzer kesher beino levein hanashim dina kimish iskoyim hanashim.
No, so what it
V'chein
means
pasuk
is,
kadon Yashiv. How would you? That's the case.
what it means, it's a typical scenario nowadays. We have all the time. We have one man working in an office with 6 women.
But the 6 women and his secretary is a different story. I mean,
We're talking about general secretary. He said there.
He's an office that he has people working with him or for him.
It's a kind of a business. You run a word processing company. Most of the women,
Right, and it could be in many companies today, right? Right. I had this great idea to start a graphic design company, and everyone in the office is women.
You run the financial office in yeshiva, right? You have one man running in and out, and then you have 15 women clocking away at the computer.
That's why he's
a real problem.
Right. Okay. This is why I had him sit next to me. This is a spokesperson. So this is the way Rashi learned the Mishnah, because there's a steer here. Let's just go back. Rashi says the Mishnah says on Pei Beis Amud Aleph, Kol she'asakav yimanashim lo yisachin yimanashim. What do you mean Kol she'asakav yimanashim? The Mishnah on Pei Amud Beis in Kiddushin said anybody's not allowed to be misyachin yimanashim. What's this chiddush of misha isko yimanashim? Isko yimanashim means he's more comfortable. So Rashi says the chiddush is here even 3 is aser. Now, the problem is that the Rambam can't learn like that, because the Rambam holds that 3 nashim is aser mitzad the first Mishnah. When the Mishnah says lo yisachar adam im shtei nashim, it was lav davka shtayim. According to the Rambam, it meant 3 already. Everyone's aser 3, 4, and the Sfardim go like that. We don't go like that, Ashkenazim, but Sfardim go like that. So,
make a difference if the 2, 3, or 4 women are all ervas?
No.
Not ervas?
No. We'll see one heter on that. So what is it talking about? So there's another pshat in the Mishnah that the Mishnah is talking about a new heter. The Mishnah is talking about a chiddush is, if you look in Tosfos here, it's a little hard to read. It came out a little bit funny, but the Tosfos on page 3. So it says lo yisachid im hanashim. So Tosfos says Pirish Bakuntris va'afilu im nashim harbe. V'dafka roichel aval ish acher mutter. That's how Rashi learned. V'kasha leharam the amar le'el anoshim mibifnim anoshim mibachutz. He asks a kasha. So if you look at the 2 lines later, it says lachein nirali. 3 lines to the bottom of the Tosfos. Lo yisyachid im hanoshim. You know what the chiddush is? Afilu ishtoi imoi the sharinan le'el the kiven davi roichel ikach shashat fei. So let's explain the Tosfos. Tosfos is introducing a new concept called ishtoi imoi. Yichud, even if you say, let's say, it's also to misachid 1 man with 2 women, if one of those women is his wife, then it's not aser. Why? Because, thank you. Why? Because ishtoi misham rasai. If he's with his wife, then we're not concerned anymore that there's going to be yichud, that anything will happen with the other woman that's there. So there's this concept of ishtoi misham rasai. So even though the Mishnah said before 1 man with 2 women is aser, if one of the 2 is his wife, that's mutter. Now, Zok Tosfos, a person, and huadin, 1 with 3 women, 1 with 4, it doesn't make a difference. If his wife is there, it's mutter. Zok Tosfos, a person who is iskoi im hanashim, the chumrah is, not like Rashi, the chumrah is 3. The chumrah is that even Ishta Mishamrasa doesn't help. So it means this guy, he runs his office, he does what he does, according to Rav Elyashiv, whatever. Then, even if his wife's in the office, it's aser. Pella. This is Shitas HaToises. What? This is the chumrah of the Mishnah, according to Toises, that even Ishtay Mishamrasai does not help.
Is there a star behind that? I mean, because the week before we said that's okay, so 2 women is no good, 3 women is fine, but it's going Hashem, so he's more comfortable with women, so even 3 women is no good. But here it's okay, so 50 women is no good, but if his wife is there, so he's not going to do anything. Now he's Oscar and Hashem, now he doesn't care that his wife is there.
Maybe the point is he can't control himself. Either that, or maybe the pshat is what?
Scenarios that it doesn't work out. So you have to figure out that it's got to be something.
It's also could be the pshat is that he doesn't even view it as like such a big like chiddush. So it's one thing leads to the other. Meaning he loses the sense of geder. So pshat is he'll.
We're holding that a person with 100 women doesn't have geder either, right? But now he's also giving it. But if his wife is there, it's a whole different moment.
Right. So there's obviously a chumrah in this guy that he's obviously more rugged to it. He's less sensitive. He's much less sensitive to it. He's much more open to whatever's going to end up happening. And Memela, he doesn't protect himself. So therefore he doesn't care. Well, the word's going to get out because there's 99 people watching this story. Okay, right. So this is the chumrah according to Tais. We'll have to see how we pass it. Now, there's one other example where Ishtay Mishamrasa doesn't help. So what we're saying right now is that Ishtay Mishamrasa, according to Tosfos, does not help when it's Iskay Hamanashim. Pashtus also if it's with a person who's Liboy Gaspa. Okay. Another case, we're going to have to see, of Ishtay Mishamrasa, that it doesn't help. That's in Mefurish Gemara. It's a Gemara in Avodah Zarah. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah, it's not in the booklet, unfortunately, but the Gemara in Avodah Zarah says that you're not allowed to be misachid with a guy. A Jewish woman, cannot be misachid with a guy. So for the Gemara, she can't be misachid with a yid either. What's this chiddush? You can't make yichud with a guy. What are we talking about? So the Gemara says that the chiddush of this you can't be misachid with a guy is, you can't be misachid with a guy even if the guy's wife is with him. So a Jewish woman cannot be with a Goyish man even if his wife is with him. Now there the logic is, the Rashi says on the Gemara, is because she doesn't care to stop him from being mizaneh because she also may want to be wants her turn, so she doesn't want him to stop her. So therefore they don't care and they have this unspoken agreement that like everyone do what you got to do, whatever. So therefore, with a non-Jewish man and a Jewish woman is also even if the non-Jewish man's wife is with him. Where this came up, I remember a crazy case. Halach l'maisa. This was a case l'maisa. I remember my chavrusa or something in Lakewood. Anyway, the case was that his wife, or this Jewish woman was like a therapist. She would work with little children, and she would work. But like a physical therapist. She would work with children, and she would go to people's homes to work with the small children. So she would work with the child, and the parents of the child were in the house. Now the child's 2 years old, so the child's not in the cheshbon of the yichud over here. So she's working with the child, moving his arms back and forth, whatever. And then the husband, the father of this boy, of her client, her patient, is there. But so is the wife. The couple is there. So it turns out that it's yichud. Because you're going into this guy's house, and there's yichud, the Jewish woman, who's the therapist, is being misyachid with the non-Jewish man, and even though his wife is there, it doesn't help. So that's mamash's halacha, and we pass in that way.
If he's Osek and Menashe, according to Tosfos.
Oh, this is a guy. We're not talking about that.
It was a Jew.
It's also yeah. Correct.
Like she has to say like I can come to your house and do it. Just is your husband Osek and Menashe?
Okay, maybe we have a cheskes kashrus and yidden. Right. What type of business does your husband run?
So it's not necessarily.
How many secretaries?
Yeah.
It's kosher or not kosher.
What?
Either these people are kosher or they're not kosher people. Not necessarily goy or not a goy.
Okay, look, I'm not going around postling every year. You know, I'm not there yet. I'm just saying this was a case of Lachal Maisa. The only way that they ended up being mater, that case, is but it's in the middle of who knows where.
People come.
What? Yeah, she had to have a body camera on her, and her husband could log into the camera whenever he wants.
This is probably home health. Nurses and therapists.
Serious HIPAA violation right there.
No, it wasn't, because you can only see her face. It wouldn't be able to see the patient. Yeah. No, they were not.
Reverse GoPro.
So that was addressed as well in the answer. But
Can't have sound either, then, technically.
no, there's no sound. Sound's not necessary. It's not needed. So this was but that was a halacha l'maisa case of this. So ishta misham rasai helps to create. Ishta misham rasai works, but by a goy it doesn't work, and by ishta, and we'll see how we paskin. When you get the other shaila of if it works for a person who's iskoy im hanashim. Okay, so let's try to focus on this because these halachas get quite confusing. So now we're talking about one man and two women. And all the cases that one man with multiple people is at aser. What was mentioned was what if someone teaches in a girls' school, right? So what's his status? I don't think he's not Hamish, so I don't know. I don't think it creates this issue necessarily, but it may, I don't know, whatever.
Why does it have to be Hamish if it's?
No, because that's what we said. That's why I threw in that one.
Is that saying that you're not Yisrael and Hashem if you have woman you're Hamish?
But that's what
counts as that.
Right.
You're saying that if a person is
makes his gedara, that's why I said that.
No, but that wasn't the case where he's not
His lotion is noitzar kesher beinoy levein hanashim. He's so yeah.
You're saying is that he?
It's a kula on that chumrah, right?
He's an OB, but it's not considered Yisrael and Hashem because he has his gedara.
No, that's a real Iskay Menashim. But I'm saying, if a person, this type of chiddush that Rabbi Yashav is saying, that anyone that has an office he's around women all day, but if he's not dealing with them in a hamish way, it could be different. So let's see the Shulchan Aruch a little bit and see how we paskin about this issue, and then if we have time, we'll get to the other way around, which is what about one woman with two men? Okay, but this so far is about the one man with two women. So let's, in the booklet, I think it's on page 17. Okay, so it's on page 18 actually. No, it's even on page 19.
Is the therapist's halacha compliance her responsibility or her boss's responsibility? Like if she works for a Jewish company, all this yichud that occurred before this, is it her problem or the boss's problem? Meaning, is he responsible for coming up with a system to make her halachically compliant, or is it on her?
She can't go in there.
She has to ask the shaila, I would think, because he doesn't know what's going on, and maybe he has a non-Jewish therapist, maybe he has Jewish patients, maybe there's a lot of different things going on. She knows her schedule, she knows what she's doing, So, okay, so there's a page missing here. That's why I couldn't find it. I'll read it to you, and then I'll tell you where it picks up. So it says like this. It says in Siv Gimel, V'chol Isha, V'chol Isha she'asa li'syachid ima. Okay, then it continues here on the top of page 19. Imhaisa ishta imai, if his wife was with him, harei ze mutar li'syachid mipnei she'ishta misham rasai. So that's what halacha we said, that ishta misham rasai by a Jewish man, then he's allowed to do yichud whoever it is. So he's there with his, other women. If his wife is there, it's mutar. But a Jewish woman with a non-Jewish man, that's also, even if ishtaimah before halacha, there's no Beis Shmuel, there's no nothing on it. It's clear halacha. That's the halacha l'maisa. Okay, now in Sif Hey, he says, No, I don't want to go out of order for what we did. So now, let's just continue. Sifhei. Lo tisached isha achas afilu im anoshim harbe ad sheteh ishta shel echad mehem sham. We'll get back to that. But then it says v'chein lo yisyached ish echad afilu im noshim harbe. So this is why I said in the Rambam that in general ish echad is aser im noshim harbe. That's the Mechaber passing as the Rambam. If you turn the page on page 21, so then the Ramah says v'yesh matirim, which is what I said Rashi. Yesh matirim ish echad im noshim harbe. Im ein iskoy im hanoshim. As long as iskoy is not with the noshim. So machlokes is mechaber the Ramah. If a regular person is having sex with two people, iskoy im hanoshim is going to be a machlokes. Now, he doesn't bring down the chumrah of Tosfos that if ishta imay won't help for this. So in other words, if you have a person who's iskri manashim, and we said he's also to be misachid with many women, if one of them is his wife, kipshuta, that's going to be mutter, even according to him. We're not going. It doesn't sound like he brings down that chumrah. Okay, so it's a chumrah of Tosfos. Now he does bring down. I see in this sefer, some said it's it's a choshev thing to be machmer on that, but we're not necessarily machmer on that. Now let's go to the opposite case for a minute. Okay, so halach l'maisa, most cases with a Jewish person, that's why your case is not so shchiach, because even though Tosfos was machmer on that, but if it's a Jewish, let's say the therapist would have been a Jewish person, even if it's iskri im anoshim, the husband, he has a interior design company, okay, so all of his workers are women, it wouldn't matter because the Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring down that chumrah. So as long as she's there, the therapist is there, and the husband is Jewish, but the wife is there of that man, then it would be mutter. Okay? So we could be makel on that din of Ish Mishamrasa, even Iskri Imanasha. Let's go to one other Inyan. Okay? The Inyan is the opposite. What about one woman with two men? So you would tell me, look, you started off the shir telling me it's a Mefursha Mishnah. So let's go back to that Mishnah. And it's also a Mefursha Mishnah. What does the Mishnah say? Go back to the first page 1 on the Mishnah. Aval Isha Achas, the second line of the Mishnah. We did the first line of the Mishnah. Second line of the Mishnah. Aval Isha Achas misyachedes im shnei anoshim. Isha Achas misyachedes im shnei anoshim. One woman is allowed to do yichud with two men. So that's mutar. So what? Hold on. So keep your finger here. Then go to what we just read on page 19. The loy tisached isha achas afilu im anoshim harbe. Shulchan Aruch Paskin is not like the Mefursha Mishnah. So what's going on? How does Shulchan Aruch Paskin not like the Mefursha Mishnah? The Ramah says, by the way, it's a Mishnah. The Ramah says v'yesher medisha achas is misyach. So what's going on? What's going on is that there's a Gemara later. The Gemara later says that this is only true. If you look at the bottom of the page, on page 1, Amarav Yehuda Amarav Leishanu Ela B'Ksherim Aval B'Prutzim Afilu Be'asara Namiloi. This, that one woman. Again, we're switching topics now. We're going to one woman with two men. Till now we were talking about one man with two women. Now we're talking about one woman with two men. So the two men is mutter. But if the two men are Prutzim, then even one woman with two men is also, because the Prutzim don't care.
Pizza, then all bets are off.
That's what he said. Oh, I don't know about 100. Hold on, relax. Hold on. So one man with two women, one man with two women. No, one woman with two men is also. Why? Because the Prutzim don't care. So why is he embarrassed? He doesn't care. The guy that's next to him also doesn't care. So if they're Prutzim, then even two won't help. Okay, but still, why does the Shulchan Aruch paskin like that? Who's reading Shulchan Aruch? Only Prutzim are reading Shulchan Aruch? The Shulchan Aruch says one woman is not allowed to be misachid with two men. So Zok the Maggid Mishnah, that this is the Rambam, and the Rambam is coming from a Gemara later on the next page. If you look on page Aleph Amud Aleph, page 2, so there's a Gemara there. The Gemara says it is by the period, which is 6 lines down from the bottom. Rav v'Rav Yehuda havu ka'azli b'orcha. Rav and Rabbi Yehuda were going on the way. Havu ka'azli ha'itzah kamayim. There's a woman with them. Amalei Rav l'Rav Yehuda dal karach mekamei gehenim. Let's get out of here because Gehenim is following us. In other words, there's yichud here, and this is not a good place to be. Amar Leiv Hamahu Damar B'Ksherim Shaper Dami. I thought that it's okay. One man with two men with one woman is fine. We're two men, one woman. We're Ksherim. So what's the problem? Amar Leiv Miyemad B'Ksherim. Whoa, the Mishnah says Ksherim. How do you know it means us? Maybe Ksherim is Dafka like Reb Chanina and Bar Papi. Reb Chanina Bar Papi, like the Gadol Adar. So that means that who's saying this? Rav and Rav Yehuda are saying, I'm not sure if we hit the threshold of Ksherim. So Zok the Rambam, if Rav and Rav Yehuda are not sure that they hit the threshold of Ksherim, so for sure anyone reading the Rambam also does not reach the threshold of Ksherim, and anyone reading the Shulchan Aruch also does not reach the threshold of Ksherim. So you hear what's going on over here? That we're talking about Prutzim does not mean, Prutzim that we would think. It means basically everybody. Anyone's not a Malach. Right? Anyone's not a Malach, essentially that's what it means. So the Rambam paskins like that. Minastam, he doesn't tell us why, but that's why. He says anyone's going to be called Prutzim. Now, the Ramah argues, and the Ramah says that this Gemara was an anivos. It was like an anivos. He didn't really mean it. It's anivos, look. And therefore it was an extra chumrah. Because anything to do with the rayas, they're machmer. But it was an extra chumrah. It's not the ikra halacha. And therefore we don't pass like that. The Ramah. And, however, if it is really prutzim, that means one woman with two men is a problem. So now, what is prutzim? Even according to the Ramah. According to the Rambam, everyone's prutzim. But according to the Ramah, what's prutzim? So prutzim is what we said before, iskei manashim. Prutzim is anybody, so that's not prutzim, but prutzim is basically anybody that doesn't have a certain level of being uncomfortable about this whole subject. So the Rav Vosner says, you were mechavan to this last night, I saw it inside now. Rav Vosner writes in a tshuva that anybody that bekvius watches movies or television is considered prutzim. So he writes, because anything goes basically. They're not. Nothing's like out of bounds anymore. So memela, that's already called prutzim, and therefore one person, even two men together with one woman will be aser. That's what he says. Now the question we have to deal with is that what about what you said? What about two men and two women? If they're prutzim, two prutzim men and two women. This is also so 3 and 3 is already considered not yichud, because yichud sounds like seclusion. This yichud sounds like one-on-one. All these adding people doesn't sound like yichud anymore. So 3 and 3 is already not yichud. But Kipshuta, the Rambam holds two people with two men and two women. If the men are prutzim, even 2 and 2 is a problem. On that, Kipshuta, we say, if one of them is his wife, maybe that would be okay. And maybe that would be a case that it's mutter, okay? So to Chazar, we split it up into two parts. There's two women with one man. So Rashi Shita is that mutter, that's how we paskin. But if it's Ishtay Manoshim, then that's aser. But if it's 3, it's mutter. If it's Iskay Manoshim, even 3 is aser. And Tosfos adds to that chumrah that even ishta imay won't help, but we don't necessarily paskin like that. By a goy, ishta imay doesn't help at all, and the Rambam holds stamazay 3 women is also for Sfardim. For Ashkenazim, 3 women is mutar unless it's iskei manashim. The other way around, the other way around, if it's 2 women, then kipshuta it's mutar. If it's 2 men, 1 woman, kipshuta it's mutar. The Rambam holds that for prutzim it's also in everyone's prutzim, and the Ramah says it has to be a real part. I have to go because I have a flight at 11:30, and wait.
Both classes are off?
Yeah.
And Rabbi Singer, is he in town?
No, but there's no traffic.
Here, you take.